Welcome to Pinay Insight. We're so excited to share with you our Thanksgiving offering for this month. And I'm so thrilled because this young man by the name of Mio Tayag Atutubo is one that can inspire us all. Let's listen to his story and learn. Welcome to this special episode on Pinay Insight. I'm Thelma Sugay. This happens to be a special day for me because I'm super excited. We usually have adults for guests, but this one has the heart of an adult. I refer to none other than Mio Tayag. Hi, Mio.
Hi, Tita. Hello, everybody.
And of course, Mom's here with us, and her name's Nina. Hi, Nina. Thanks for really saying yes to this ask. I think the world needs to hear Mio's story, especially during these very trying times.
Yes, good evening here and good morning to everyone.
Yes, and Nina, our dear friends and viewers, is actually the mother of Mio, two of the bravest people you'll ever get to meet, and I'm happy that they had said yes to the ask. I learned about Mio. I refer to you often, Mio, as I speak with other people about your life story as possibly the Philippines' next Saint Acutis, in reference to obviously the same youthful age that you share with Saint Acutis, but more because of the heart you share with him. Friends, Mia has allowed me to share his narrative with you, hopefully to inspire us as we speak. Philippines is again under a strong challenge with this new typhoon that has come and hit Cebu partially and the rest of the Visayas in a very, very strong and solid manner. But I know that our good Lord has never abandoned us and will never abandon us. So we hold strong and steadfast in this faith, which we are so fortunate as a Filipino people that we share with millions of our kababayans, because it is this faith that sees us through all these natural disasters that have come one after the other, unfortunately. This year more than ever. Mio is all of 13 and has actually, or still continues to, face the biggest challenge of his life with a health condition that has to do with, and I'll just simplify it for them, a special case of brain tumor. Is it, son? Talk to me about it, Mio.
During 2021, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor called a craniopharyngioma. It was located on top of my pituitary gland, so it's a very hard case because when they removed the brain tumor, ever since after that, it was on top of the pituitary glands. There were things moved there, so I am hormonally imbalanced. So ever since after the brain surgery, I had to take medications, which also made me grow a bit on size, and I'm emotionally unstable. But with the help of God, I am able to, and many people, loving people around me, I've been able to control my emotions very more well and better. Symptoms, it was blurry vision, headaches, vomiting, and nausea. I experienced it like years before, but I thought it was nothing. I just pushed it under the rug until one day, this eye became blurry. Like when, do you know when the TV goes offline and it becomes static? Like that kind of blurry. So when I told my parents, they just got surprised. So when I had an MRI, that's when next day I was admitted to the hospital. I stayed there for a few days and it was hard, yeah. And after my brain surgery, I had a minor seizure, so I had to undergo physical therapy after the brain surgery. So it was really hard, but slowly by slowly, I was able to work things out. And now look at me, I'm doing well. But the brain tumor has recurred, but I trust in God that everything happens for a reason, and I know that I am in good hands.
Wow. All that said in one breath, Mio. What a gift. Thank you once again. So, if I have my calculation done correctly in my head, you had this at age 8 was when it first started?
Yeah, but they
And
said that the brain tumor could have been there already by when I was born, but it was very small. So it was only seen when I was 8. It was already kind of big at the time, 4 centimeters already, so it's kind of big.
Your faith that was instilled in you, is that something you found on your own, or did your parents' lives by example?
It was my parents, but also especially with the help of my mom's parents, my lolo and lola. They were the ones who really helped me make my relation closer to God, because they are very active people in Couples for Christ and many other and other groups, and they give talks about how to become closer to God. So they have taught me so much. Shout out to them. Thank you so much. They have really made me a great person talaga.
You know what, Mio? That's, I think, what I love most about you. You come across very sincere, very genuine, but most of all, highly grateful. I always say an attitude of gratitude comes a long way, and you exemplify that, Mio. So, talk to me about the challenges other than the physical inconvenience. I know, I hope you don't mind. Mom shared a little bit about.
This grade 7, my parents decided to pull me out of school first, just give me a break, which in a way was a blessing in disguise, because if I enrolled into face-to-face school with the radiation that I missed 1 month, it's just grade 7 that we're talking about, first year high school. It would be really hard to catch up. So it was this grade 6 that was a really hard experience for me. I was continuously bullied and all of that. They would like fat shame me and all of that. It was really hurtful. They'd put me down. One time I was doing one of my projects. They were playing, and then all of a sudden they threw food on it. And the kind that's very hard to clean, which is mashed potato. So it had a big stain on it and it was hard to clean. And the worst on it though was like they were saying that I had no purpose here in this world, I had no reason to live here in this life. So they were telling me to end my life by jumping off the stairs and all of that. It was really hard.
What can I say? It's a very harsh world. I can almost not even excuse youthfulness for those unkindness.
There's many bad people in the world. I know that there's always hope out there, that there's still many good people. And I know that there's a chance for them to change pa. Although, like, some days, like, when I think about it, I get upset and ganyan. I know that it's the devil trying to make me have, like, I forgot what you call that feeling in your heart when somebody does bad to you. And you hold grudges on that person. So, like, I try to say na you forgive them. They still have a chance to change.
Now, Mia, are you sure you're only 13? I mean, the words that come out of your mouth are that of an adult that has lived years of life experience.
I was actually surprised. After the brain surgery, for some reason, I was able to understand things more in like a greater way, that not like student my age or understand the importance of life and all. Ever since after the brain surgery, I'm able to understand things more clearly and better, like an adult. Maybe I'm not sure what caused that. Maybe it's the experience or what, but it really changed me in a good way.
And you know what? The details don't matter. Oh my God. And here he is with his coffee. I really, is it water or coffee that you're drinking,
Water.
young man?
I rarely drink coffee. Only time when I drink is like when there's like a little treat for Starbucks, but rarely because high on the calories.
Mina, you never cease to amaze me with your words of wisdom. And I think when I first saw your reel, you probably know which reel I'm referring to, because
Yours.
when I sent you the one in the car, it was taken in the car. It was one of those when you were having a bad day, or so you called it. You don't even say bad. You said it's not, hasn't been a great day. Even that positivity in your choice of words, your articulation. You think that's something that's in you, or that someone up there is sort of.
I think, of course, I know it's not only me by myself. I know that God is working through all of this.
My goodness, Mio. If these words reach as many people as I hope it will be, you can really change the world. So, right now, are you still having radiation, or we're done with the radiation?
My last day is next Tuesday. It's really
Happy anniversary.
so okay. Like, let's say a daily day while I'm having radiation. So what I do is that I wake up early in the morning, then I drink my meds. I have a medication that I have to drink before eating breakfast. That I have to wait 30 minutes, so I drink that first. Then while my sister is eating breakfast and my mom's preparing her baon, I dress up and get ready. Then once they get up, I get downstairs and fix my stuff because I bring a backpack with me with art material pad. I have a sketch pad and markers along with me. So I have something to do there in the radiation center. So after that, depends on what time it is. We bring if it's late, 6:45 or like that, we bring my sister first. But if it's earlier, we go first. So about breakfast, I don't have breakfast. So while I'm there in the center waiting for my turn, I drink this like what's it called again?
Tea.
A tea, yeah. It's like I drink this tea instead of having breakfast. I drink this tea, and then like later on, just like para a konting merienda, then lunch. Then after that, usually I just rest and relax after lunch. Or sometimes I love doing art. It helps me relax and it makes me think of creative stuff. Then after that, sometimes I take a nap. Usually I don't have merienda in the afternoon. I try to lessen it. Then dinner, yeah, and then after that, just stay. Continue doing a bit more art, then say my prayers, then go to bed.
What a full day for a very young man, I
Mm.
must say. But never a dull moment. It's almost like even as you go through your day, it's a form of prayer. Am I correct?
Yes, actually, when I have my radiation, this is actually I have a story for you. When I have my radiation, I use that time as my a time to pray to God, a time for me and Him to each other. There was this one day I need to tell you about this. When I went inside the machine and then they started doing it, I just closed my eyes and prayed. And then I was just offering all my intentions to God. And then I started talking and saying, thank you, dear Lord, for all your blessings, all the great things you have given me. Great people, the family, the everything. And then when I was praying, my eyes were closed. When I was praying, biglang I saw a bright light appear. I saw two men appear on my sides. Then for all of a sudden, those two men merged and became one man. He was on my left side. And then while I was like closing my eyes and praying lang and then lying down, I saw him and it's like parang he was patting me. And then like parang in a way saying na everything will be okay. So like parang that was one really touching moment talaga for me. And like I know that God is there and He's working in every way to do everything. So like, I'm just really, really thankful for even
And me.
for all the blessings, for giving me a second chance in life and all of that. I'm really thankful.
And Mio, we are so thankful that you share with everyone, especially our viewers and our audience who've been with us for 3 seasons now. We're on our third season for Pinay Insight, Mio. And just so you know, and this particular third season is all about featuring supposedly Filipino American successful stories. But I wanted to put you right in the mix of things because I think at this point, it doesn't matter what your whole makeup is in terms of ethnicity. You may not be Filipino American, you're pure Filipino. Mom's so lovely, right there, just quietly supporting you. But I think your message through this show, again, thank you for sharing your story with us on Pinay Inside. I'm sure it will lead to more storytelling on maybe a wider platform. And that's all I ask for. I just ask that you continue to share your story because not everyone is as brave as you. Perhaps you've been surrounded with courageous people all your life and you think it's the norm. Let me tell you, Mio, it is not. Most people are fearful, have a high level of anxiety.
I
And
feel like actually I feel like I was able to like ever since I started doing radiation, I have been able to turn things around. Like there when I went in there, like parang at first when I started, the atmosphere there in this cancer center was so gloomy and sad. When I started going there, I brought like a little ray of sunshine to them that made even though it's just a little bit, it sparked lots of hope in the patients. I gave hope na nga to a patient. Her name is Mrs. T. She's a teacher, but she has a stage 4 cancer. I was able to bring hope to her. And another thing is that I'm really thankful because now I've have my own family there. They are my second family there in the center because I became friends with all the staff and they're really kind and supportive to me. Every time when I have radiation, they always support me and say, "Me, you can do this, you can do this," and ganyan. They even go the extra mile for me during my birthday. Can I talk about my birthday? It's one of the
Yes, I was gonna get into that, but you're such a whiz of a ball and you just got right into it. So yes, do share with
my
us because I did see some photos.
birthday. It was like we wanted to celebrate it a bit differently. So
And
usually,
this is just like a few weeks ago, right?
yes, yes, yes. So usually on my birthday, what we usually do is, you know what? Is we just have a simple family eat out, either lunch or dinner, together in a restaurant. So that's what we usually do. But this year, I wanted to do something different because the staff there in Conquer Sea, that's the name of the place in Asian Hospital, that staff has done so much to me already that I wanted to say thank you in a way that I wanted to celebrate my birthday there. So what we had is that my mom was able to get a caterer that had arroz caldo for breakfast. Arroz caldo
My
and
favorite.
some turon for dessert. It had three kinds of flavors. There's one that chocolate, cinnamon sugar, and the other one was yema. So when I arrived there, it was supposed to be like parang they're supposed to start at 8 o'clock since it was a 31 holiday, right? But all of a sudden, lots of the patients there are new. They just started on that day. So they did not get the notice. So they came there earlier. So but since it was my birthday, you know what they did? They made me sing na nga eh. They made us go through the other side of the building muna so we can safely enter. And then they called us. When I had my radiation treatment and ganyan, I was treated. And then after that, went back inside the room. So, biglang they called me. They told me to get my bucket, trick or treat bucket. Then, they made me go there. And then, biglang Kuya Mac, he's the security guard there. That's my friend. He blindfolded me. And then, they were bringing me. I was walking. I was scared I might hit somebody. But he said, okay lang, I'm guiding you. So, they made me walk all the way in front of the front desk. Then, going to the meeting room. And when I entered, I was still blindfolded, and biglang Kuya Mac unblindfolded me. And then the lights turned on, and then biglang loud music started playing, and then all of the staff was there and then saying, "Happy birthday, Mio!" And then they went out of the way na nga, just they went the extra mile to get decorations to decorate the place, get me a cake, and even get me presents. I was really so touched. I actually cried. They got me a chocolate cake, and then they even got me so many gifts. They got me two t-shirts from Mosimo. Then they even got me more art materials. They got me markers, a big canvas, actually a canvas like this big, very big, and then poster paints and then paint brushes. Oh my gosh, it was like I was so touched talaga. And they even got me, do you know the squishamalo? Have you heard of that stuff, like?
Think so. I have
Yeah,
grandchildren, so some of them play that. But talk to me about that. So I'm
they
sure that
they
that's what
got
I'm
me
referring to.
they got me a big squishamalo. Then they customized it by placing the badge of the Asian Cancer Center there in the front. It was so really nice. I was so touched talaga. And it was like that. So after that, I said a special message and then I said a little prayer and then there we feasted. We had such a great time. The food was great, super duper delicious. I actually had two servings of arroz caldo, kind of a lot of turon. And from there, actually, I did not eat any more lunch or dinner. And then it was just so fun. Like more people arrived and ganyan. Tapos some staff were like so happy because they haven't eaten breakfast. That some of them came for 3 or 4 servings pa nga. They really loved it. And then like after that, there was still so much food left kasi we got good for 50 people. But the Irish caldo that's good for 50 people, it's like it's more than 50 actually. So what we did was that we gave to the patients naman kasi so many of them haven't eaten yet. Ooh, here it is. It's blurred.
Oh my goodness. That is so lovely. I love it. What a gift. And yes, I do know. So I just never knew what they were called. So I figured as much that that was what it was.
Yeah, it's just like honestly, I have to tell, best birthday in my whole life. Because it's like I've never had a birthday party. Only when I was like small pa, like medyo baby with like family members and like friends and ganyan. Never had a birthday party because what happened of that. Pero like ngayon, I got the chance.
Just want to like share that he was thanking all the staff. He was sharing about how scared he was to go through with treatment, but because of their support and their their love and friendship, it made it so easy for him. And he would look forward to going to the center every day. So
Every
it's not
day.
really, it's not a burden at all. It's something that he really looks forward to. And when he was talking, you could see the staff members. They were also teary-eyed. And we really felt the love that they had for Neil. That's why we're so grateful for all the people there at Conquer C because he's part of the family. He really is. And maybe he felt that he really belonged as well because like in school he didn't have that much friends, but here like people accepted him for who he is. And then so many friendships that were formed, especially from strangers like other patients there would really come up to him and say, "Hey, what's your name?" Parang siya daw would really or would come up
As
And then
like
they
ask about
they'd
him.
ask about me and then say compliments na, wow, he's such a good boy naman.
Or would say, "Is he your son? Oh, he's really so nice. He's so kind." And one thing there is he's really giving hope to these patients. It's like they give some. It's true. He lightens up the mood, and when they see him, they're happy. They laugh because he gets to talk to everyone. He tries his best to like sit with the patients and introduce himself and say, "Hi, I'm Nino. Why are you here? Are you going through radiation? What kind of radiation?" Like he really, like creates these conversations with them. So that's one thing that's very special. And we're actually having like a separation anxiety already because it's just 3 more days, right?
Yeah.
So he's very sad that it's gonna be ending.
Yeah, pero I know that won't be the last time I'll see them because I still have lots of checkups there in Asian hospital with my psychologist and all of that. So maybe, who knows? Well, after having there in psychologist, I can pass by there and just say hello to them.
I think that's a
So,
great plan.
yeah, so like it's just it was the it's the best talaga. The patient also actually got me gifts. They one of them gave me cookies, one gave me pastries and like cookies from I forgot where, and then the other one gave me this sketch pad.
Your favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what I'm going to gift you for Christmas.
Yeah. I have so many. I have now. I'm so happy. I have many sketch pads now because I really need those, and I need like the good kind of paper because sometimes it's hard to find a good quality sketch pad because I'm like using markers, pero kasi like the regular thin kind of sketch pad that blots easily, then it starts to like shred off, then becomes a hole, and it just becomes bigger, and then there, wala na.
Is there a particular one that you like? Now that we have the audience, who knows? They might just start gifting you for Christmas.
One,
Is there a
this one,
brand
this
and
one is
something from the States that I can get you personally?
like there was one that was given to me from one of my this is a good one, but I forgot what's it. This one's a good one actually. It's from there's a new store here in festival called Angko. It's like let's say what do you call it, Baba?
I don't know.
It's like a store with so many stuff and they have like areas. So when you look at it, the papers actually I'll actually show you some of the projects that I'm working on.
Yes, and can I talk to you about the one mom shared with me that everyone looks at? Oh, wow. Can you
I
do it up close? Come on, show
I
me closer, love.
I am a good one. I'm very good with abstract. So here, this one's like a fish. Then here you have like a guy with this like tongue sticking out. You see it. Then here might not be so visible, but that's a face. So you have his eye here. Then that's his nose. Then that's his tongue. This one I did like a swirling. I just drew lots of random swirls and then just compiled them and it became like that. I have more actually. Those are not yet done. There's still some white space, but I'm still thinking on what to put. Sometimes the one thing that my mom taught me, do not force it if you don't have any idea. You give it some time and then There, this is another one.
I love the colors. They're vibrant.
Yeah. Since the spiral one worked out well in the other one, so I was like thinking, why not give it a try again? So I tried it out again, and then some of these other pages are like sketches lang, parang drafts. That's why it's not so. Oh, here.
Wow. Very clean, minimalist. That's what I'm gonna call this.
There's actually a special tool. It's called a spirograph. That's what I used to make it. It's like sometimes do you just random na lang because when you place the marker or pencil in the hole, you don't. So there's a guide, but sometimes you don't know what's the outcome. And then finally, the one that I'm working on today and the next coming days. Okay, so before I show you, this is how I did it. For commemoration, I asked all the staff to put their fingerprint here on the sketch pad in the shape of a heart. Then I branched out it. Thing. Kaso lang pala, I realized there's some missing fingerprints, but I can squeeze it and make it. So here we got.
Wow.
It's not yet.
Oh
It's not.
my, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, I just started coloring it, but it's not yet done. So I. This is one of my favorite styles of drawing. Yes, I do like doing abstract art, but I like to combine abstract art with like cartoony things, which I call doodle art. Oh, like sometimes I just draw random shapes and then I bring them to life. If you can see over there, like here or here, I just draw random shapes and then bring them to life, and then there. It's very cute actually, if you think of it.
Now, where do you
So
think you got the artistic gift?
I don't know. Actually, at first when I was small, I wasn't that good. Or like all of a sudden, when did I start picking like
After your surgery?
after your surgery? But before that pa in before I had my surgery, but when I started getting symptoms, I did painting classes for a moment. Then after that, medyo settled down. Then surgery, I had the surgery. Then after that, I really became good in art.
Wow. And as he drinks his, what is it that you're drinking, son? Tea?
Water.
Water.
Water. Okay.
I
In
didn't
your
want to
little coffee, very adult coffee mug.
have
Oh,
to.
my
I
Mino.
didn't want to have my nighttime tea because we have this talk. I might fall asleep. I usually have chamomile. It works very well.
Mio. I'm at a loss for words. I usually am not. You can ask all the people I interview. I usually talk over them. I can't help but listen and give you the floor because you, young man, have a lot to say to the world. You are not just a little ray of sunshine, you're a whole rainbow of sunshine. I think that's what I'm going to say. And if mom allows me to, I will probably send this clip to someone bigger than myself so that perhaps you can be on their platform and touch even more people. But I think, Mio, like you said, this is not goodbye. This is a simple farewell for now.
Before
We
we end,
honor you.
I'd want to just say a special message for everybody who's watching this.
Oh, you always know what the next thing I'm going to ask you to do. Oh my goodness. Can I tell you this is probably, and I hope it's not insensitive to say, Mio, the best thing that's ever happened to you. The brilliance, the articulation. Do you see that too? That's the common thread. It's like your artistic talent.
I was surprised that I was able to predict what is gonna happen next.
No. Now, you've already shown me 3 gifts just within this short time, Mio. And I'm sure there's a lot more we haven't discovered.
Yeah.
So imagine someone listening to your story, someone who's about to take their life. There's a lot of that going on, Iyo. And I know the pain that you must have gone through when people were asking you to throw yourself down the stairs. But then, as you say it, there's no bitterness. As you say it, it's almost just like a story. You're almost like, in a way, you've already forgiven them, even if they have not asked for forgiveness. Am I correct?
One thing I just want to say to the whole world is that remember, everybody is special. Everybody has a under role and importance in this world. God created all of us for a reason. We don't live because we're just made to be here and like endure the sufferings of this world. God created us because we have some reason to be here. For example, maybe we're here to give the world a bit better, to make the world a better place, make it a bit healthier, and all of that. We all have our talents and gifts and our purpose. So no matter what, you have to remember that you are important. And another thing, don't feel like you're always alone. One thing that I learned through one of my journey is that you are never alone. God is always there with you, and He's just waiting for you to just reach out to him and hold his hand. You just have to go to him, and you have it's what I do me. That's what I learned from that is like we can't do things alone. We really need help from God. That's why prayer is also important. That's why for everybody, I'd recommend that, everybody have like a little bit of your day lang just to pray to God. Like before sleeping or when you wake up or in the middle of the day, like what I do, just give him a little time of prayer. And remember that your family always loves you, no matter what. They're the people that love you. But most importantly, God, the one who loves you the most.
My dear, dear Mio, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this show. We'll probably have a whole series on you after today. And Mom, Nina, thank you so much for allowing us into your world. To you, our dear viewers, what a special treat this is for just the recent Halloween. This is our treat to all of you. And we hope, not for my sake, but for the world's sake, that this goes viral because this is something we all need at this particular time. From us here at Pinay Inside, we bid you for farewell for now. Mio, I will see you there in the Philippines Christmas time. I'll be there with my daughter and my grandchildren, and I'll bring you that sketch pad. So once we're done, we'll have a little chat. I want to hear about your wish list of a sketch pad. I will find that for you. And I know our viewers here will probably flood you with letters and perhaps more sketch pads. It's not a big thing to ask, and there's no shame in that. After all, you've just inspired the whole world. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be any other show that's going to top this one. But again, thank you.
Merry Christmas to everybody and have a happy new year.
Merry Christmas, everyone. We hope you have a good Christmas and a new year.
Maligayang Pasko po sa inyong lahat at ako po ay nananalangin na ito po ay nakatulong sa inyong lahat. We pray for everyone and we'll see you here on Pinay Inside. Bye! Bye, Nina! Bye, Mio and Nina.
See you soon. Bye.
See you.
In the heart of San Juan, Batangas, Philippines, is a secret treasure of a place called Skagway Resort. It is not only a resort, but a home for seniors to come home to. We have trained and efficient caregivers who are there to aid you as you enjoy the facilities that is culturally themed. It has fruit-bearing trees like malunggay, santol, and mangoes so that our seniors and all our guests can enjoy their time gardening. There's also an infinity pool and a miniature golf course for their recreation. For more information, call 747-221-2322 or email Velma@jmassgroup.com. Clay is a unique art medium made of recycled paper. We've taken paper waste, dyed it, and created a mixture that has a clay-like consistency. We've packaged them in do-it-yourself kits so there's applicators, set of colors, and a board with a printed design. It's an art project that's easy enough for beginners and exciting enough for every artist of every age. Here's how you make an artwork. First, use your 2 sticks. Take a little bit of color and spread it on the board. Just cover all the spaces, and there you go. It's a fun art project for kids that helps build their motor skills as well as young adults because it certainly is very therapeutic. And even for the elderly, we find that they really enjoy making art with the simple steps. So we encourage our customers to be creative and use different kinds of tools that they can find at home. You can achieve all sorts of textures, and as you can see, just with the use of the plastic spoon and knife. Here are some of the different textures that have been used in one artwork. Artists were able to explore the product even better and find out what else they can do with clay pot. So there are many talented artists, we've held some national competitions, and we've gone on to mount more exhibits at hotels and other venues. There's so many more techniques to discover, and here are just some of the most unique pieces that we've seen as of late. They're very sculptural, 3-dimensional, and look, texture really holds up well for a durable work of art that you can actually use at home. And with the right formulation of clay bell will be able to replicate the sculptural effect and create more products that are functional. That makes a positive impact in every community. The best part? It's sustainable. Now, ready to go beyond art and produce anything we set our mind to. Remember, Clay Pal Philippines. Fully Filipino-owned and totally Filipino-operated. Clay Pal Philippines, it's the company that works not only for you, but for the environment.
Welcome to Pinay Insight. And this month we started a series of introducing successful stories of Filipino Americans and having them share with us their narrative of how they got to where they are. And yours is an amazing story. I mean, to be elected to NAM is quite a feat. And you're the first Filipino American to have been elected into this post, I understand. And also one of the 100 most influential Filipino women, and this was in the year 2019, and studied at UC Berkeley for your undergrad and took your PhD or your master in Harvard, which is another amazing, impressive feat.
Yeah, I did my master's in Harvard, then my PhD in UCLA, and then I did a postdoc at Berkeley.
Wonderful. So you went back to UC Berkeley. That's wonderful. So that's a full circle right there. And Gerald, I'm sure we'll have a few questions for you, but talk to us about the effect of this federal shutdown in our healthcare.
Yeah, Thelma, I'm so glad you asked this question because it's an unavoidable question. We've had shutdowns before, but not this long and not to the point where there's the threat of cancellations of critical safety net programs like the food and nutrition programs that, rely on the federal government. It's really, I think, a government failure. It is breaking the contract of government, the compact of, taking care of the people, particularly those who are the most vulnerable. And this shutdown, of course, we see, we worry about planes not flying or air traffic controllers not being around. So it threatens the safety of folks, or the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, not working to make sure that our water is safe. So government, particularly in the areas that I care about, which is safe water, safe air, in public health, coverage for all in health insurance, that the federal government has a mighty role and a responsibility and accountability. And so having a protracted, very long shutdown is senseless, it's insensitive, and it's really going to create this precarity across populations, this divide that we have, those who have and those who have not. Before I was an academic, I was an advocate. I was an activist, and I still am an activist. And I championed better data and disaggregated data for the Asian American community. I worked for the Asian Pacific Islander American Health Forum. In fact, I just saw my boss, my former boss, Tessie Guillermo. I just saw her at one of the FWN events this week. And it was that time when I was already talking about the invisibility of Filipinos in federal statistics. If you ask me how are Filipinos doing in the U.S., back then I'd say I have no idea. We don't have the public-facing statistics to monitor, to have that surveillance tool, to see if we're doing better, how could we improve, and might there be some regional differences? Might there be also some immigration generational differences, like those who were born here versus those who immigrated here? So we did not have access to that data, that kind of data. So what I did back in 1999 was help design a survey for California that disaggregated the Asian categories so that Filipinos were visible, but also Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. And we also conducted a survey, and like as of today, we conduct a survey in English, Spanish, but also Cantonese, Mandarin, Korean, Vietnamese, and Tagalog.
Wow.
So I think it may be the only large-scale population survey that's conducted in Tagalog in the nation. Not many, not many Filipinos actually take the survey in Tagalog, but it doesn't matter because if you don't offer a language to bridge, to get people to participate, then you're already systematically excluding the population.
Yes.
So you're not getting insights then from people who are limited English proficient or who are not comfortable in speaking in English. So what I do is build this data infrastructure of visibility, specifically for race and ethnicity, but also on areas for American Indians, Alaska Native, their tribal enrollment and affiliation, identities of gender, of sexual orientation, gender identity, disability status. So all of like the vulnerabilities or experiences that people face, in their day-to-day lives that might impede their access to better healthcare so they can live the best life possible.
That's so noble. And sometimes I'm almost certain there is this story behind how you got to be so passionate about this cause. There usually is a connection, someone who's been affected by the lack of care. Thus, you found a need, you found the gap and that you felt needed to be filled. Talk to me about your story, Doctor.
I think the story, the origin story was when I first immigrated to the U.S. I was 6 going on 7, and it was in San Francisco. And there was just a lot of confusion of this new kid who entered school who did not look like anybody else. And so I was called Eskimo. They got confused with Philippines and Philadelphia. It was called Philadelphia.
Wow.
So it was, but I sucked it up. So I think that then started getting me to think about identity, but also my parents, especially my mom, was a bilingual teacher and worked on multicultural education in San Francisco Unified School District. So she always instilled in me the pride of being Filipino and always instilled in me the beauty of being Filipino American and the beauty of multiculturalism. So I think that's my origin story of caring a lot about honoring different identities, diverse identities. So that's that origin story. What many of us felt during COVID was just the loss of our loved ones, people we knew, our friends, our caretakers in nursing homes, our nurses who were frontliners during COVID, who were dying at much higher rates than any other healthcare workers. And so I had to actually do something called a FOIA, which is a Freedom of Information Act, to request data from the California state government to find out, to disaggregate the Asian category in terms of deaths for COVID and cases for COVID, because the statistics lumped Asians together. And when I got that information, it showed that what we were kind of hearing from other surveys, like Nurses United, that whereas like nurses were only, say, 3-4% of the nursing workforce, that they were like 30% of the COVID deaths. So this disproportionate burden that was not seen, not known with publicly available data. So I had to actually get special permission to get this data. So it just shows that it's so important. And I'm a health economist by training. What I usually say is absolutely equity is what drives me, but I'm also an economist and I know that health systems have to be efficient as well. And you can't be efficient if you don't have sharp tools of measurement on identity. So if you just had the aggregate category, then you might be devising interventions for the wrong types, not the precise folks that need it. So that's what I usually lead with, is that it's a quality argument. It's an efficiency argument too. But of course, it is about equity.
I think you hit it right on the nail. I have worked with other groups who've done something similar to what you're trying to do, but I'm definitely a believer that metrics are quite important if you're trying to find a solution to a problem. Go ahead, Gerald.
Thank you, Dr. Ponce. So I'm past president of the Rotary Club of Historic Filipinotown, and we wanted to connect with Thelma Sugay with this podcast as just a way to elevate prominent Filipino Americans. October is Filipino American History Month, for example, and we also want to promote our Rotary International brand, which is a global humanitarian organization. And so thank you for sharing your origin story. I mean, I've always felt in the Filipino American community in particular, there's been this sense about being invisible, wanting to stake out a place where, so we're in historic Filipino town of Los Angeles. We have the largest Filipino American mural in America. 30 years ago, it was painted. We have the largest gateway proclaiming Filipinotown exists in America. And these symbolic gestures just sort of are very bold. But what's the underlying feeling here? And that's my sense too. So even when you talked about collecting statistics at the state level or even maybe federal level that did not accurately portray the community, I was reminded of other battles, whether it's redistricting or, a census collecting. Filipino Americans may have a Spanish surname, for example. And so for you to be able to transition from an activist on the outside, perhaps, and now within an institution where you could influence and shape these tools so we can have an accurate picture in order to craft policy, like you said, or craft interventions appropriately. So that's not really a question. I'm just making a speech, Thelma, but just
I appreciate it.
In my professional life, I was an urban planner. And so in that role, I've worked for local elected officials at LA City Hall, or I've held positions in Sacramento as legislative staff. And I've also worked with public agencies. So I was participating on the public sector side, I guess, and also shaping policy, with our elected officials. So I think that calls for the importance of community advocacy. I mean, I like the fact that you came out of the community from a grassroots community organizing perspective, and to really advocate for the issues and concerns of the community. Otherwise, out of sight, out of mind. And even shaping the perceptions of our elected officials is important. And to the extent they also bring to the position their life experience. So in Los Angeles, we're 51% Latino, but we still have an Asian population, and there's always a need for representation. We have our first Filipino American city council member who represents neighborhoods like Eagle Rock and the Northeast Los Angeles. So making strides even in the political arena, I think is important because that impacts how policy is shaped, as we've discussed.
I'm not sure if it's a disadvantage that a preponderance of Filipinos in the United States speak English, but the reason why we speak English, it's a product of colonialism. What you hear, like 500 years in a convent and 50 years in Hollywood, right? So the vestiges of colonialism, then, whether we like it or not, generationally, psychically play out. It manifests in perhaps our self-worth, our pride, our social desirability, like as I had said before. So why is it that Filipino nurses were the ones that were dying at much higher rates, especially if they were only like 3-4% of the nurse workforce? I have some hunches. I mean, I heard a little bit of it. There were a lot of nurses. It's disproportionate burden. And part of it is like the feeling that you take care of strangers, there's a value of that. There's kind of this feeling that you're like masipag, like you're the first to respond. I can't remember what the word is, but it's just that you will do what you have to do. But sometimes it might also be that we don't stand up and asking for personal protective equipment. We may decide to go take care of that ICU patient, and we do it even though there may not be adequate protections for the caregiver. So I think I've heard some of those stories, that Filipinos were the ones that, would be truly frontline in taking care of sick people. So, like it or not, that's a little bit of colonial mentality. So speaking English maybe have some navigational advantage, but again, it's a vestige of a mindset. We want to help others, that bayanihan that you said, we want to help. They could be strangers, but it may also be that we are timid to ask, well, should I take care of this sick patient if I'm not fully equipped with, some protective equipment? I also want to add another layer, because in some ways we're putting all the blame on the Filipino individual and culture. That what's at play, and this is actually a paper I did with several Filipino scholars. It's led by a dear colleague, Melanie Sabado-Liwag, and it's called Addressing the Interlocking Impact of Colonialism and Racism on Philippine XAO American Health Inequities, is that whereas you do have that colonial mentality, you also have systems in place that are racist. So that the fact that they would take advantage. So Thelma, when you say, oh, should I do this or not? But then you have systems that will say, well, you're expendable. Or yes, taking advantage. So systems are also taking advantage of certain people in the workforce that may be viewed as more expendable or have less agency, less voice, less complaining, that also happens. And then the third piece, is that a lot of Filipinos, if in the studies I've done with colleagues, using actually the survey that I collect, when we're looking at chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetes, asthma, mental health issues, that Filipinos tend to have higher rates compared to other Asian Americans and compared to non-Hispanic whites. So it's kind of like this walking time bomb where you have healthcare workers who also probably have some kind of chronic condition. They have that colonial mentality of self-sacrificing. You said martyrdom, but but also the value of wanting to take care is very strong. And then the systemic structures that may unfavorably or disproportionately kind of feed folks to the lions, right? Like you go, you're first, you go take care of the sickest people. And so I think it's just like these three elements that probably led to higher morbidity and mortality rates due to COVID. I think we need more political currency in the United States. I mean, we hear about Rob Bonta being the first attorney general. One of my UN sisters, Jessica Caloza, is an assembly member. So it's having that political power helps with shaping the narratives of how systems should be structured. It also shapes the role modeling for students, for young people as they're in their trajectory, of adulthood, of understanding that Filipinos do have political power. I'm a health person, but I'm a health economist, health policy. So I'm not an intervention. Like I wouldn't tell you should exercise more or you should eat more vegetables you should do all that, but I'm not that type of a health professional. I'm more of a health professional about how can we make sure we are aware of inequitable structures or structures that produce these inequities, and that we have the agency and the voice and the data, that there's visibility on what the needs are for our community.
Dr. Ponce, who's within the leadership of these systems? Who is shaping and driving these systems you refer to? Who are they?
Well, it's again, like coming in at UN, I was on a panel, and one of my co-panelists was the CEO of a healthcare system. We heard from Cora Telez, who headed HealthNet, which was a big health insurer. So we also, in addition to the political power that we need, that we also want to make sure we're leaders in health systems and healthcare systems in this decision making.
Hello, Dr. Ponce. My name is Ninez Sevilla. I'm a local community leader here in Los Angeles, and I did do a little research about you, and I think you're awesome. You're amazing. You do so much good for our world.
Thank you.
You are a key voice in connecting data to broader policy and social issues. Regarding leadership and vision, you're the director of the Center for Health Policy Research. What is your long-term vision for the center's role in California? And what is one new research area you're most excited to launch in the next 5 years?
So the Center for Health Policy Research is based at the School of Public Health, the Fielding School of Public Health, and UCLA. And I've been director since 2014, so over 10 years now, but it houses the survey I had spoken about, the California Health Interview Survey, where I've been involved with since its inception. And I want a center to be seen as the go-to resource for California policymakers, because we have the data in California. The center also evaluates large-scale innovation programs for the state undertakes, like whole person care, like primary care delivery, evaluating community health centers nationwide. And we also have a number of projects that look tobacco policies, also projects that look at how welcoming a jurisdiction is among immigrants. And so we're seeing that the more welcoming, less punitive county is in California to immigrants, that the health of immigrants are much better. So definitely, as I said, I'm more macro. So policies really matter in shaping the opportunities and how individuals perceive that they can actually avail of these opportunities, and that they don't feel like they're going to get deported, or they're going to feel like they will lose a pathway to getting their green card. So I think that what we try to do, what the center does, is it's all evidence informed. We create data, we collect data, we create insights from that data. And then we also share that in terms of tools. We have a lot of data dashboards. We have lookup tools. That's what I call, we're democratizing that knowledge, because knowledge and data is only good if it gets off the shelf and it gets in the hands of people. So people like the media, people like politicians, people like the direct service providers, community organizations, Rotary club members, that, the leaders that actually will do something, with it. So we have a lot of our data is free. It's easy lookup. We have a tool that maps also, like you can look up, say, asthma rates in your area, and then you can overlay who your elected officials are. Because the other role of data is about governance and accountability. And so we want to make sure that we want to kind of use it as a hall of shame. Like, why is Koreatown, health statistics worse than the next door neighbor, than Hancock Park, for example? So I think it's, again, a way, it's comparative. It's a tool for action. It's a tool for activism.
Dr. Ponce, the second part of that was any research project you intend to launch in the next 5 years, I believe, Nina.
Yeah. So the research project I'm actually working on is I'm a builder of knowledge. And so the work that we're doing, especially now, I think this all started with asking me about the federal shutdown. Well, the federal shutdown just didn't start with the federal shutdown, like 3 weeks ago. It started with the firing of federal government employees, closing down of agencies, and in some cases disappearance of federal data sets, suppression of federal data sets, of elements of federal data sets. So already, where are people going to go to understand about youth behavioral risk factors, for example? And so it's or looking at they canceled a component of the USDA survey that monitors food security. They're going to go to states like the California Health Interview Survey, like the survey that I run. So what I want to do is think about how information can be, in some ways, a new form of federalism on data, so that we're not so reliant on the federal system, but we will use local and state and also community-based generated data. for the Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, or for Filipinos, subgroups within the Asian category, that we may need to do special surveys. May need to do qualitative work. We may need to get insights from kwentuhan, and not so much about like big, large scale surveys. So I think my dream is to create the methodology, the opportunity, rigorous. Everything has to be rigorous, though, at every step of the way to be credible. But everything also should have community voice in the design of these better data systems. So I just got funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation on creating better data ecosystems, not just for California, but for other states. So scaling what I'm doing in California for other states, I think it's one step. And also not just collecting the data, it's the methodology, tracking and documenting how we're doing it. So that's, I think, still doing the same thing, but I'm scaling it.
I would love to help you in any way. I've actually seen one of your publications at an event I went to, and I thought it was just a magazine with cell material, and it had statistics and it had data, and it was a QR code. They said you could download the QR code. I received the whole pamphlet. It was probably like an LA magazine, thick, long piece of material that I literally have been delving into. Is quite interesting. One that I was particularly interested was this recent CHIS data on hate incidents, which were the most surprise findings from that data release. What is your opinion on that? Or would you like to elaborate?
This was the most recent data. This was released October of this year. Is for 2024. So this was even last year's data. I think the beauty of our survey is it's done every year, so we can actually monitor how mental health hate incidents are increasing or decreasing over time. And the hate incidents actually they're funded by the Civil Rights Department of California. And it actually started during COVID. We put hate incident questions, but we only asked among Asian Americans and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders because of a lot of the Asian hate incidents that were going on. And we put it in a population data set because not everyone's going to register like that they were a victim of hate, because one, they either like shrug it off, or I deserve it, or they just don't have the wherewithal then to register. So that even though the project that's actually out of San Francisco on the anti-Asian hate initiative, it's like thousands, but it still was an underrepresentation. And when we did the survey a few years ago, focusing on the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander population, that we were finding, much larger numbers. And it was, I'm just trying to remember, I think it was like, for those who either experienced or witnessed a hate incident, it was like over 1 million people, in California, 1 million Asian Americans and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. So, and then what does that do? Then it leads to policies that also help with bystander training, because you don't really know what to do if you've witnessed. And certainly like that, I think, an awareness of, where to go. And it led to community organizations escorting, like helping with, walking, particularly older populations from, going to their doctors. So there was, and I believe the legislature also provided a significant amount of funds on education and outreach. So it got the attention of the Office of Civil Rights. And they said, you shouldn't ask but let's expand it to not just measure Asians and Pacific Islanders, but also like everybody. So that's why we decided to ask of everybody. And we were seeing that there's a significant number of Californians that are experiencing hate or witnessing hate.
Wow. I'm so glad, Nina, that you brought that up. Because, Doctor, I'm not sure if I'd mentioned it to you. My press club was a recipient of a grant from the California State Library to address Asian hate. And that was about 2 years ago. 2023, because that was when it was referred to, COVID was referred to as Chinese flu. And like you said, they lumped us all together.
Yeah.
And then there came the hate. And based on our experience, most of the victims were hesitant in sharing their narratives because of fear of retaliation.
Right.
I think you also mentioned this earlier. Some of them are not in status, not in proper status. And so that was another fear that would lead to their deportation if they had complained about it. And finally, those who were brave enough to complain or bring up their concerns didn't get much help.
Yeah.
So those are like the three elements. So we had to come up with another way, another platform for them. That was to write to us anonymously through a publication column. And I had a psychologist, Dr. Jeff Ring, very much like yourself. So my question to you as a follow-up is, do we know if the numbers have gone up or down since 2024?
We're collecting data now in 25, so we don't know right now. They've been fairly the same. And we actually have a policy brief coming out in December, I believe. So I think what's surprising, I have to see if I can talk about the policy brief before it comes out yet. During COVID, when we were blaming, it's particularly Asians, Chinese, for the coronavirus. And so there is, that which then led to Stop API Hate, the movement there, that you'd think that as we got out of COVID, that these hate incidents are defined as physical abuse, verbal abuse, cyberbullying, that it would go down. But I think our insight was it wasn't going down as much as we thought it would be. So in 2025, we'll see.
I feel like, what about the rates going on right now and the social profiling? What are your thoughts on that? And are we doing data? I know you'll do a survey. How long is that pipeline till it gets published and then action is based on that and pushes forward?
Yeah, so the disadvantage of running the survey like the one I run is that it takes a year to process. It takes a year to collect, and then it takes another 9 months to process the data, to make sure what's called the skip patterns are correct, to make sure we might have to impute some missing numbers. And then at the very end, we have to weight it to the population. So that it becomes this population representative data set. Unfortunately, it's a year too late in some cases. I taught, since I'm in San Francisco right now, I had to teach a class on Zoom this week. And one of my students, I think visibly bothered by something, and then had disclosed that this student had protested. I'm not going to give the specifics, but had protested in the morning and was tear gassed. And so just made it in time. Luckily, it was a Zoom, class. So just made it in time to get onto Zoom call. And some of the thoughts of this student was, it's just so ironic that I'm, in the middle of protest and demanding rights and then getting tear gassed, and then going to Dr. Ponce's class, which is about the theory of, structural racism, the theory of, so where it just seems like, oh my gosh, it's so intellectual classroom, kind of out of touch. A lot of the isms, racism, sexism, colonialism. So, but then I think we all landed on, everybody has a role. And the fact that this student had felt this firsthand then informs the scholarship, the actionable scholarship, that would not have been as informed, if it was somebody that was so out of touch or was not at all at risk or not fearing, about being racially profiled, being profiled as being an immigrant. I carry my passport everywhere because you've heard stories where it's not just the Latinx community. It's if you look like you're not from around here, you get profiled. I don't think we have to wait for data to know that those stories are happening right now. We certainly I worry about students who disappeared or about their parents who have disappeared at UCLA. So there are definitely ways of having the evidence to express outrage. But from that outrage then is can we organize to ensure that there's public policies? And it's like the mayor here, apparently Mayor Lurie in San Francisco recently was able to tell the Trump administration to not, come in full force with ICE because San Francisco was starting to have a recovery. But certainly we want our public officials, our local public officials, to stand ground, with protecting the local populations.
Let us know what we can do to help you, because this is much needed work for our community. And we thank you for being brave enough to take this on, Doctor.
Thank you. I'm very fortunate that I'm getting recognized for my work. I have to say that 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, my work was not necessarily valued or seen as important from the academy. And so it's not that, I tried harder, because I always try no matter what. I don't care what people say. I always try to do the best. But so it's not that. I just feel like the academy, at least my world of scholarship on health and medicine, has now caught up to what's really important to ensure that information and knowledge structures are upheld and are representative of everyone in a population. So if we're really going to have representative government and health equity, that has to happen. But I tell you, Thelma, it was not so valued, for sure, not 20 years ago, maybe not even 10 years ago.
Thank you and all that you do and continue to do for our community. Thank you once again, Dr. Ponce. We asked you for half an hour and you've engaged with us for a whole hour. So for that, we are truly grateful.
Thank you. No, my husband says I'm always the last one to leave a party.
I'd love to sit in on a class if you ever have availability.
Sure.
These lectures sound really awesome. And I've actually always been a cultural anthropologist at heart.
Oh, love it. Because I'm teaching theory, some from an anthropological, sociological, political point.
That was my favorite college class. So when I read your studies, I almost died in heaven. I was like, oh my gosh. And you had a whole table, an event in Boyle Heights. It was, you had a whole team there. I don't know if you knew that. And that's where I stumbled upon it. And I met a few of your fellow students or fellowship students.
Yeah.
And Nina, we're impressed. You scanned the QR code and access the research. So
the QR code was, because they had this one magazine and I thought it was like an LA Weekly, best restaurants of LA magazine, because it was printed so nicely. They explained to me what it was. And then I actually started reading it. I literally for 10 minutes was delving into the piece of, and it was their last one. And it was the end of the party, right? And they're like, Nina, if you enjoy it so much, please keep it. I'm like, I will. And then suddenly I got a notebook and all that stuff. But I really enjoyed it. And I said, oh my gosh. And I talked to my aunt who taught at Berkeley. I think it was sociology or anthropology, but she did a lot of research on the Monongs. And she's like, this is good stuff. She's like, let me connect you. But she's 80 and, a lot of her friends are living their best life, vacationing and cruising. So,
well, we all should.
But please, if there's something I can hop on, I don't mind driving to UCLA or I'll even fly to Berkeley because it sounds like something I'd want to sit in. I wish I majored in cultural anthropology versus business.
And joining you, Nina, I always said there was a career called professional student. I would be one of them. Lifelong learner over here. So is Gerald and Ben. Doctor, it's already Christmas in the Philippines. Once the bear month starts, so you got to greet the audience a Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
And we will see you again for sure. See, we skip the Thanksgiving. We go straight to Christmas.
Straight to Christmas.
Yeah.
Sa inyong lahat.
There you go. I was hoping you'd say it in the vernacular. Pinay, everyone. We'll be right back after a few reminders here on Pinay Inside. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
This special presentation of Pinay Insight is Rotary Club of Historic Filipino Towns offering. Sponsors include Pinas Food House, CPJ Multimedia, Thelma Sugay and Associates, Eastside Rising, Pinay Insight, and the Asian American Press Club of the U.S.
Sana ngayong Pasko ay maalala mo pa rin ako. Hinahanap-hanap pag-ibig mo. At kahit wala ka na, nangangarap at
Listen to Jules for your Christmas Filipino hits this season. Now streaming on YouTube Music.
This brings to an end our Pinay Inside Thanksgiving offering. For you, our viewers, we thank you so much for sticking around for all this third season now. We'll see you next month here on Pinay Inside with our Christmas offering. Maligayang bati po sa inyong lahat, maligayang Pasko at manigong bagong taon mula sa Pinay Inside.